Of Facebook Lives with you all, and each day I will answer a different question that someone has shared. Sorry about the wiggling. To just give you a sense of what UX and qualitative and quantitative data is all about and how you can start to work with them. So today's question comes from Courtney, and Courtney wants to know that, do I see a day where artificial intelligence will be pulling in qualitative research and quantitative research and then sort of making the need for a UX designer sort of irrelevant? And if that's the case, what would be the role of the UX designer at that point? And that's a really good question, because we've all seen those movies where robots come to life and they take over and suddenly humans are obsolete or under the rule of robots. And so it can seem like the robot takeover is this scary sort of inevitable conclusion of where we're going with all this technology. But I think the scarier thing and the most important thing to think about is not the robot revolution or the loss of some jobs. But I think what's scarier is that many of the artificial intelligence and machine learning things that we have happening right now are instilled with the biases and stereotypes of our past. When you have an algorithm that is interpreting data, it's only as good as the interpretation parameters that you gave it, which means that when you're thinking about creating an algorithm to parse out who should do one thing or another or how something should behave, if you haven't thought about the racism and the sexism and the homophobia that exist in our culture and how to counteract the data going in and the biases that we all sort of grew up with, then you're going to create a racist and sexist and homophobic system. You're going to create a system that reinforces the stereotypes but feels objective, making it much harder to combat. And so when you're talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning, there's two important things. The first one is it's happening now. There's any algorithm that you use, anytime you're using computers to quantify data and make decisions, that's already artificial intelligence of a sort. That's already machine learning that's happening right now. So it exists today, and it doesn't look like what the movies told us it would. It doesn't look like the things that we expect. It looks much less exciting and much more everyday. And that's okay, but it's important to understand that it's happening now. And the second thing is it's reinforcing the stereotypes and the biases of our society unless we actively work against it. And so your job as an advocate for people who use products, or people who want to use products, and for people who live together in a society, when you're working with any sort of artificial intelligence or machine learning, is to ensure that the biases are being actively built out of the algorithms that you're working with, that you're not accidentally reinforcing stereotypes or reinforcing racism or sexism, etc., by not paying attention. Because if you don't build it out, the data is already biased to begin with. We have a biased society. And in order to change that, we need to build it out of the algorithms that we create. And it's especially important because algorithms feel objective. They're just parsing numbers. Yes, but they're parsing it along the criteria that we told the numbers to be parsed. And they're parsing it with data that was already bad to begin with. So for example, you have a lot of cities want to use sentencing algorithms to decide sentences for fairness. But those sentencing algorithms are getting past data to determine how to sentence people in the future. And that means that the past arrest records of people who are Black are reinforcing worse and more harsh sentences for people who are Black, because that's what they've historically been given in the past, unfairly. It's scientifically proven. There's been studies done. You can Google it, that people who are Black have been sentenced at 4 times as harshly as white people would be for the same crime. And so that means that when you feed that data into that algorithm, it's just going to keep doing the same thing unless you tell it to reduce that in some way, unless you give it some sort of countermeasure. And so that's really where our role as UX designers, as UX advocates, as researchers starts to evolve, and to thinking about how can we ensure that the products going out into the world aren't biased, aren't reinforcing bad racism, sexism, homophobia, all those things, ableism, anything that we can do to make a more fair, more equitable, and more just society. And that's really our call as UX designers. So don't worry about the robot takeover. Do worry about the biases that you're reinforcing in any of the work that you're doing and any of the algorithms that you're working with. All right, join me tomorrow for my next Facebook Live, and I'll answer another question. And if you have a question, let me know. You can reply here, you can shoot me a message on Facebook, or you can email me at hello@pixelsforhumans.com. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.